Oh my God. That was game number. No.
Oh
no,
my.
No, a
gosh.
game that I thought, I really believed for like a moment, like one moment, that like PETERBOT was gonna solo clutch that game. Like I really did for like one moment believe. And to have Pollo come out and win game number 1 is like crazy poetic. I mean, guys, 14 elimination victory royale in a setting where the best trios are on one bus. And I just watched that.
That is serendipity if I have ever seen it. To have PETERBOT's incredible solo run be outplayed by his old duo mate Pollo, going one after another, having Agers go down on height. Pollo then a solo having to drop down for the 1v2. That's just game number 1, Vivid.
We could probably, you know, Zeke was like, you know, we could probably talk about PETERBOT, you know, for the whole entire pre-show if we really wanted to. I feel like we could talk about this game for the rest of the show. There was so much to kind of break down, but it just came down to the clutches. I mean, that, of course, is going to steal the highlight. Pollo, what an incredible job. Jacob caught it. He knew he had to wait for the siphon, letting the Storm do the work there. Finally letting that siphon come in. Had the confidence to take the fight over. Wow. NA. Wow.
I am shocked. Okay, I am just, I don't even know. Okay, look, we're gonna go to a break.
Yeah, we need one.
When we come back, we'll have collected ourselves. I will not have, and we'll talk about what happened in that last game. Stick with us. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the FNCS. I thought 3 minutes was gonna be enough time.
It was.
I just cannot believe what a statement game we just watched from Pollo, Agers, and Acorn. 14 elimination victory royale, a solo clutch from Pollo. That is a clip for the ages. Oh my gosh. That was just game one, Kelly. That was just game one.
I don't think I can handle this. I don't think I can do 5 more games, but I'm going to have to. And I'm so excited. I'm so happy that this is what NA is bringing us. There has been so many doubters out there being like, oh, NA is going to be boring. Well, they've all shut up now, okay? From game one, here we have Pollo, Acorn, Agers with 121 points. And also in second place, Visual Braids and Diminish. We talked about them at the start of the show. A bit of underdogs in the competition. Getting second place in game one is definitely setting themselves up for success. But of course, PETERBOT's insane solo run, Vivid, is what it caused them to get that third place spot.
I mean, yeah, we're obviously going to hone in on the PETERBOT effect there at the very end. But I mean, first and foremost, the situation that this trio was put in, they were a duo. PETERBOT and Cold were a duo, had the confidence to actually go up to the higher ground, and they held that for the first 2 moving zones there, right? 9th, 10th, 11th. They were actually holding it. I think finally it was CLIX's trio that maybe was like, is that a duo up there? And finally some teams started to kind of fly up and start to fight for that higher ground. And then PETERBOT, I honestly, my jaw actually hurts right now because I haven't stopped smiling from watching this. And I don't know if that's ever happened since I've been an analyst on the show. Honestly, this was just insane. When you put something like this medallion in the game where you can do these solo plays, PETERBOT is going to take full advantage of that. Every single shot hit right there. Every single moment. I mean, he was climbing on things. I didn't even know it was possible. I was like, oh my God, he can do that.
Yes.
Yeah, PETERBOT is just insane.
I mean, especially if you put that medallion on him, right? Just running without any slowing down right there. And it literally had to be a trio to stop him. But when he saw all the stragglers, and that's really what they do well, is picking off player by player where they're kind of off by themselves. Just huge props. They are in third place right now, but that is just game number one. But just look at the big names we have on our leaderboard. Muzz, Yapko, Rise, right below them in fourth place. CLIX, Batman, BUGHA, Yamzo in fifth place as well. I mean, all of these trios right here are just top competitors, but of course, we have to talk about CLIX, Yamzo, Batman, BUGHA, going from 200 below Storm to getting 3 eliminations and then 400 above. Being able to recover when you're in shambles is such a key element to success in Fortnite.
You know what, Kelly, I'm going to go ahead and run away with your point right there and say, heck the conversation about CLIX, Yamzo, and Batman, BUGHA for a second. Storm Surge in general, I mean, we were jumping from some of our top name teams to the other one, to the other one, to that one. They were all like below, and we were just sitting there, we're like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Game one, maybe we got some stuff to figure out here, but yeah, everybody seemingly struggling with Storm Surge right there, right? Like Cooper, Vidil, and Sphinx, probably the biggest ones that got kind of like hit by that for sure. But a crazy game number one from start to finish, including that Storm Surge. I mean, some of these teams, they got to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully that was just game number one, Vivid. You know, if that was game number 12, we'd be having a very different conversation.
True.
You know, but hey, it's fine. That was just game number one. Let's get 5 more games of that. Wow, we are amped, and we hope that you guys are as well. It is that time. Will game number 2 have that same energy? Will any of these have that same energy? I hope so, because that was wild. With that being said, though, find your seats on the bus. Game number 2 is ready, so casters, take it away. what just the 2 first games of Major 1 Finals have given us. What's so crazy about this game is we're literally bouncing from trio to trio, and then the moment we get the white shot, we look up and we go, wait a minute, Canada, Rapid Bolts, are you guys on height? And they win!
Yeah, they had that tower, like you can see right here, from 8th zone, and I thought, no way are they going to be able to convert this into high ground, and they do that. But then we see bolts go down, and I go like, well, no way that they're going to be able to hold high ground, and they still do that. Canada has to be one of the best fraggers from high ground. To get double-digit eliminations from that position is almost unheard of. And to speak on where they were in game 1, they ended in 21st place. So to jump up so far, to recover, and you know that this team is a very emotional trio, or Canada is, to see them go from 21st to 1st place, you know that they have to feel good.
Yeah, but what a huge burst of confidence that must be, right? I mean, for Canada, just as himself personally as a player, obviously for the trio as well. I mean, winning a game, but 10 eliminations, breaking into the double digits already in game number 2, especially after that first game kind of slipped out of their hands. Still though, even saying that, middle of that game right there, Canada, Rapid, and Bullets looked like they were a little bit lower on the Storm Surge. I'm surprised they were actually able to bring that back and convert that game. But yeah, Canada put it on a showing. Well done to this team, holding the high ground, receiving no types of pressure, just cleaning up the rest of the game.
Dude, let's go. We have to go to a break. When we return, though, don't worry. We'll break that win down and so much more. We'll be right back. Let's go! Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS. We just got a sneak peek at the standings, and I'm about to lose my mind. First 2 games of NAC have not disappointed. We have seen some of the craziest plays, some high-profile trios, all battling it out, all going head-to-head. This is crazy, but that last game, Bolt, Rapid, Kanata get themselves a victory royale. Once again, we see a victory royale coming out with double digits, but look at these standings. Agers, Acorn, Poyo, almost 100 points ahead. Games in second and first, back-to-back, 13 eliminations, 14 eliminations. Kelly, what am I looking at?
I mean, you're looking at what a lot of people expected from them. When we saw Poyo get picked up by Agers and Acorn, they had a great first Div Cup, but then they kind of floundered a little bit during the play-ins. Group stages wasn't exactly what they wanted. And, you know, we actually talked about it at the start of the show, like what vibes are we going to get from this trio? And they don't need the vibes. They're here to just do business. They know exactly what they're locked in for, and this is what we expected from this trio. They are absolutely stomping the competition from low ground, from high ground, regardless, Vivid. They are running away with it.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned it earlier, but I was like, yeah, their group stage changes, they did not look like they were going to do well in those early and mid games, like at all. They needed to kind of clean that up. And for finals, right now, these games, they have for sure cleaned up those early and mid games. They look like such a healthy team throughout all stages of the game right now, and it is translating very, very well. I mean, a first place with 14 eliminations, second place with 13 eliminations, literally cannot be stopped right now. Almost 100 points ahead of the competition.
I just look at the elims, right? Look at the placement points. I mean, what am I looking at? That should, you know what's crazy? What I love is that should say PETERBOT, and it doesn't. It says Poyo. So everyone out there who's been like, oh, Poyo doesn't carry, but PETERBOT, you're a liar. Check the stats, homie. Look at how crazy this is. We have just seen 2 games. I don't even know. My heart is racing. My little bird heart is racing right now, and I'm gonna lose my mind, but there's still a ton of things we wanted to highlight. I mean, even just look at this top 5. Look at these names. I mean, guys, we are fighting here for one of those 2 spots going to the global championships, and it is so apparent.
I mean, honestly, I was really impressed with Muzz, Yapko, and Rise right there. We saw this crazy early rotation all the way to the southeast edge there, just to make sure that they grabbed some tags, just to make sure that they grabbed some eliminations. They were able to take down Braids' trio right there, who was previously in second place, and then they just were able to use that and convert it into such a great low ground. And I kind of like this Blade Oni mask hold that Muzz had right there. It definitely seemed to be, you know, more of a contingency plan, whether that it didn't work out for them or not, but regardless, they were able to just kind of have a great end game there. Rise having to go for a solo run, and that seems to be kind of the repeat story we're seeing, Vivid, is that these solo clutches, it's kind of what's holding up our top 5 right now.
Yeah, super incredible job there, but also we've got a couple of teams that were kind of playing catch up, right? They had a bad first game like Video, Cooper, and Sinks. They've kind of snuck in their way up to 11th place, but then obviously Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts winning that game. I mean, they had 3 points after that first game, and now they're in 5th place. So that win right there was extremely important for them.
So big. I mean, even PETERBOT, right? Once again, you know, what's crazy, we talked about them being this unstoppable trio, but again, we're put in a similar situation in this last game, right? Everyone goes down. It's PETERBOT left as a solo. So do we think that these guys are maybe having issues? Like, why does this why? Obviously, it's just 2 out of 12 games. I don't want to get crazy here, but you know, it's happened back to back. So what's happening?
I don't want to speak for Cold and Ritual too much, but PETERBOT actually historically has been a day 2 player. I think that they definitely lock in once they get their first day 1 done, and that's definitely worked out for him back when 1.5x points for day 2 was a thing. Obviously, this isn't affecting him too much. You know, the fact that they have been put into a solo situation in both games now, and they're sitting in 3rd place is definitely not the worst position to be in.
I mean, I don't think that we've actually seen a good game from them yet so far, right? They haven't, you know, been a trio, a solid trio with, you know, healthy materials and everything ready to go. So hopefully in game number 3, they can kind of switch that around and we can see a healthy end game from that.
Let's find out. I'm getting word it is that time once again. Right back into the action we go. So casters, take it away. Gods can bleed. I cannot believe it. Mr. Worldwide's plural. They come out with a victory royale. And man, this lead, when y'all see these standings later on, are going to shock you. I did not think that we would develop leads like this, but because of that victory royale, this is why they're so important, Kelly, right? Pairing this up with eliminations, consistency. Now, Muzz is ahead of the pack. I don't even know. We're going back and forth, boys. We're going back and forth.
I mean, speaking of going back and forth, that zone was just disastrous for so much of the lobby, but it was exactly what Muzz, Yapko, and Rise wanted, having that shattered span zone, then going into the water, then going back to the bridge, just gave them such control over high ground. Pretty much everyone else was just using their mobility to be able to reverse the end game here. But of course, Yapko, Muzz, Rise took advantage of that, were able to grab a ton of eliminations. And I love, of course, the play dropping down low, trying to grab more refreshes, trying to grab some mats and everything so that they can continue controlling.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this entire game was all about. Just control, like Kelly mentioned right there. A lot of our top teams as well couldn't control the rest of the lobby. They went down. So this is a huge opportunity for Muzz, Rise, and Yapko to kind of boost themselves up the leaderboard. Incredibly well played from this trio. I mean, a zone landing right over by where they land early on in the game. That's how you take full advantage of it. Love to see that from this trio.
Man, that was my zone, by the way. I designed that myself. You guys are welcome.
Oh.
You're welcome. I did that.
Thanks,
That's me.
Zeke.
Good writing.
That is crazy. With that being said, that is game number 3. We still have so much more to break down, but first, a short break. When we return, more action here from the FNCS. Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS. We just wrapped up game number 3. In case you missed it, you're tuning in. welcome. You have missed 3 crazy games. Highly recommend you go back and watch them. But Muzz, Yapko, Rise got themselves the victory route in that last game. We just wanted a couple highlight, just really quickly, how they got that victory out. Guys, back in 7th zone, they were just perched on this beautiful spot, overlooking just this amazing shattered span here. The moment the zone pulls away, they have just got to be like, guys, this is ours, right? I mean, there's just no way we don't win this game.
I mean, it seems a bit obvious seeing as how that is their POI, but taking full advantage of it, being able to perch themselves up, be 1,000 damage over Storm is just going to give them so much ability to kind of control, as we said earlier, the end game. And that's exactly what they did right there, being able to rotate that from to the water back to the bridge. It was just smart, standard Fortnite play right there.
No, honestly, I got to tip my hat to them as well, because usually when sometimes the zone kind of pulls to your POI, it's actually not as easy to get Storm Surge, right? Because you're usually kind of like posted up. Teams try to, you know, avoid you as much as they possibly can because it's very obvious to where you're going to be at. But the fact that they were kind of like 1,000 above right there means that they had something definitely figured out for that zone. So again, well played by them.
Yeah, just so crazy indeed. Let's take a look at these standings. So remember, we have 6 games today, 6 games tomorrow, and then we'll have Major 1 finalist rather. But take a look, guys, this lead after that victory royale, look how far ahead Muzz, Yapko, and Rise are ahead of everyone else. It's just Agers, Acorn, Pollo right behind them. But when we think about like what we came in on, right, like what a lead we have developed. And what's crazy from the other side, right, Agers, Pollo, and Acorn, in that last game they placed 13th with 1 elim. So for a single moment, they let the foot off the gas, and that was enough for Muzz, Yapko, and Rise to just walk away with that victory royale.
Definitely, but Pollo, Agers, and Acorn are not going to be giving it up that easily. And although they did go down in 13th place right there, Agers still had to pull out a solo clutch after Pollo went down right here. And honestly, it's interesting. When Trios first started, a lot of people were talking about how in the end game, once a player goes down, like in duos competition, that's when you're going to have to solo clutch. And we're not going to see that with Trios. That does not seem to be the case for NA finals right now, where it's more likely that instead of it just being 2 players running the end game, it does come down to a solo clutch. And so many of these players in North America have that ability in spades to be able to just kind of run in the back of the lobby and keep their placement points climbing up.
Yeah, definitely working wonders right now for a lot of our teams. The top 5 is also seemingly kind of ironing itself out, point away from the rest of the lobby. PETERBOT, Cold, and Ritual, though. I mean, we said it after last game. We're like, yeah, well, they haven't had a good game yet. Game 3, also not a good game, but I can't lie. For 3 quote-unquote bad games, they're in 3rd place, and I feel like they're still in the conversation, and they're still close enough to 1st and 2nd, where if they just have that good game, that PETERBOT, Cold, and Ritual game, then they'll be up there as well.
It's crazy to look at the leaderboard right now, and it is 160 points between 1st and 10th place.
Wow.
And we're at the halfway point right now for day 1, right? So that's the quarter point for the entire tournament. So tons of games still ahead, tons of opportunities for things to change and everything, but there is definitely a lead shaping up right now for our top 2. But I think anyone in the top 9, where we just saw Vidil, Cooper, and Sphinx jump into our top 10 finally, I think that there's still plenty of opportunities for them over the next 9 games.
For sure, and this is still day 1, right? We'll still have time for the trios to come back, to prepare, to VOD review, to talk to coaches, and come back with a plan for day number 2. So let's not get crazy. No one sound any alarm bells. PETERBOT, we're good though, right? Like, we're good. We just need to have like a good pop-off game, and then we can do that now. You want to do that now? Okay, I'm sorry, I was just talking to someone. Don't worry about that. Anyway, guys, it is that time. We are halfway through day number 1, so let's jump back into the action with Monster D-Face, Jacob PR. We just keep going back and forth, guys. Every time it looks one way, it just goes the other. I feel like I have whiplash at this point. My gosh, to see Muzz, Yapko, and Rise come so close. But then Vadil, Cooper, and Sig step up and say, hold on a minute. We are contenders. What are you doing? That is so good for them. And to see them get it, especially at this moment, right? We still have 2 games to put up before the show's done. This is momentum, right? If they just carry this, they continue this ball rolling, we could see big numbers by the end of these next 2 games.
And I love that you say momentum, because their first game was a little rough, going down in 17th place, and they've only been climbing up the leaderboard since then. To finally get that victory royale has to feel good for them. And to think that if CLIX's trio, who was sitting beneath Vadil's trio, went for the edit, and then they were able to get that Conan real quick and survive, that could have spelled disaster and the end of their run for game 4. But of course, as Vivid talked about at the start of the show, when they are on the low ground, when they are controlling the front of zone, it all goes their way.
Yeah, and honestly, not as many as eliminations that I would have thought that they would have had in a victory round in the finals, right? Like, I would have talked about kind of like that momentum-based playstyle. I was assuming that they would have just had more. But the way that this end game kind of played out, it was crazy, because Yapko kind of dropped down, went down the Oliver OG team, and then Yapko's body went down to the ground, and Cooper trio of what there was actually able to get the refresh, which was allowed them to go ahead and transition that into the victory royale. Crazy stuff. They get the win.
Man, chaos, my favorite. Now, with that being said, 2 games left to go before we call day 1 done. For now, we go to a break. When we return, we'll break down the standings and what we've been seeing after this short break. So stay tuned. See you in just a minute. Welcome back. Missed you, but now we're here again together. Game number 4 on the day of the FNCS Major 1 Finals went the way of Adil Cooper and Sphinx, which is pretty big in case you missed out. Maybe you're just tuning in. Great to see you. Hope you've had a fantastic time. We are deep in competition right now. So many things happening. And to see, once again, this momentum-based team find themselves a victory out is big, but we turn attention to the standings. And this is where it gets kind of crazy. Agers, Acorn, and Pollo are still holding down that number 1 spot. And I mean, Kelly, given like the situation they were put in, to still be holding that number 1 spot is like a testament to their skill.
I just don't understand probability-wise how Agers keeps being the only one alive at every single end game here. We had another solo clutch from him. It was a duo clutch for a long time between Acorn and Agers, but eventually it did go back just to him. And to be able to hold on for so long and still get a few eliminations, I mean, everyone has said it. Agers is an incredible fragger, and to see him still being able to just run through these mid and low grounds is so impressive.
I mean, this trio is just doing so well right now, especially in the eliminations category. That's their 3rd double-digit elimination game. They ended that one with 10 right there, which is pretty much the only way that they're kind of holding on to that lead right there. Because I was 100% pretty much convinced that Muzz, Yapko, and Rise were going to be in 1st place after they just got 2nd right there. But yeah, Agers of them holding on to 1st place.
That's so great. I mean, yeah, just disgusting stats, you know. And you kind of bring up Muzz, Yapko, and Rise. You know, they get that last game 2nd place, but it's only 4 elims. And you know what's crazy is you said this right before we went to break, Vivid. There's kind of times where you kind of expect there to just be more eliminations on the board, and there's not. And when you look up and you're like, wait, these guys had height. They didn't have the elims, so maybe what went wrong for them that I expected to look and be like, yeah, 12 elims, I don't even 13 elims, but to end on only 4.
Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. Actually, I don't even know how they're pulling it off, right? Because as we saw right there, I think it was like 10th or 11th zone. So, you know, a couple zones into the movings, it's 0 elims. Like, that's so unheard of in these games. That's very, very kind of hard to pull off. I mean, obviously the zones are kind of pulling to that southeast side of the map, right? Kind of favoring them a little bit, because we just saw this, you know, back-to-back games going over towards the span. They clearly have these type of games figured out, and it's working very, very well for them. It's a little too good, almost, you know what I mean? I mean, 0 eliminations, when these elims are worth so much and they're not really getting that many, that's kind of where they're hurting right now. As you can see,
True.
Again, they're a little bit behind in that category, but I mean, still 2nd place, doing very, very well.
Well, we saw from Muzz around Zone 3 building that crazy tower again at Shattered Span, and he was able to get those tags, no eliminations, but they were really just worried about Storm Surge there. Zone did pull away from Shattered Span, so they weren't able to kind of take advantage of like what we saw from the previous game. And then from in-game there, I don't know if you noticed, but at some point Muzz just didn't have any more ammo. So that might have been the reason. Maybe they were conserving a little bit. Maybe they were prioritizing just controlling high ground rather than trying to get those eliminations onto the low and mid ground. And unfortunately, we did see Yapko go down. So although I don't necessarily think it was a shambles situation, I think with the loot that they had, they played that as best as they could.
Now, speaking of shambles, we don't have a long time, but PETERBOT, what the heck happened that last game, right? To start the game in Zone 2 as a solo, to get rebooted, and then Kelly to come back and to place where they did 6th place with 12 elims. I don't even know what's happening anymore.
I don't either, and it wasn't even like it wasn't until the end game that we saw them recover. No, by Zone 5 they got 3 eliminations and were 900 damage above Storm. The ability that they are able to recover is so incredible. Taking the low ground once again, not too much of a surprise. They had just crazy loot, decent heals, but of course it did eventually get a little rough for them, and they did go down, I believe, in 6th place right here.
Yeah, I mean, they just keep getting their early games messed up, right? Nothing's really going according to plan in that early game. They've got to switch something up there. So kind of like when that happens, the rest of the game's like, heck it, we ball, right? And it's just worked out the best that game right there for them. So they're still hanging on 3rd place.
I don't know how. They have not had that good game we were waiting to see, and they're still 3rd place. That is bad news for everybody. Now, with that being said, I want to talk more, but we have to get back into the action. The players are ready, so find your seat on the bus. Let's do this. I got a case of the vapors. This is crazy. The back-to-back, the deal, look right here, the deal. The back-to-back, what in the world? What is NA doing today? Kelly, I thought EU was crazy, and the deal Cooper Sphinx said, hold on. We're the best region, Zeke. Let's get a little back-to-back action. What in the world? 11 elims as well. These guys are climbing the standings. This is gonna come down. We still have 6 more games tomorrow, Kelly. I don't know. I'm gonna faint. I'm about to pass out.
Okay, well, while you pass out, we'll talk about this incredible run that we got to see from Vidil Cooper and Sphinx. What a, I mean, they had a slow start, right? But when you have back-to-back victory royales, it doesn't matter how you start the day. It matters how you end it. And they did such an incredible job on the low ground. And really, it was so much chaos, Vivid, happening between the low and mid ground. We saw so many teams jumping for height, trying to steal it away, getting punished for it. And instead, Cooper, Vidil, Sphinx, they stay low. They're able to clean up everyone else, and that's why they were able to claim that VR.
Yeah, it's actually pretty similar to the last game they just won as well, game number 4, right? It's just like kind of like a 3v3v3, one team in the middle, one team on the high ground right there. Of course, it was a little different this game because we lost some of the trios up top, but it just seems like they have so much control over both the teams that are above them, applying the pressure at the right time, kind of making them fight above them before they actually get involved. Just super well played. They have that timing down so well because they've been playing that low ground all season.
Just disgusting. We are watching peak Fortnite right now, and we do want to continue the conversation because there's only a single game left to go. But first, I know, a break. When we return, we'll put this on we'll wrap this in a big bow because we have one game left to go before we close out day number 1. So don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. One game left to go. We call day one done. And so much has transpired. But Deal, Cooper Sphinx, they got themselves the victory out in game number 5. But that's not the scary thing. The scary thing is the standings. As we pull these up, Kelly, what stands out to you?
That Ritual, Cold, and PETERBOT, even though they went down for them somewhat early, 4th place, they have actually jumped up into 2nd place right now. They have yet to get a top 3, and yet they have 46 eliminations. They are just a stone's throw away from Agers, Acorn, and Pollo.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty much been the chase for this trio, right? I mean, they were behind after game number 3, they were behind 70 points. And then after game number 4, they're behind 60 points. And now after game number 5, 40 points. They continue to close the gap time and time again. And honestly, this game was wild. I went ahead and looked at the stats, and this is actually a trio with the most storm damage taken. Like, they were just chilling in the storm. They feel very, very comfortable fighting out there, and for some reason they would just kept fighting teams throughout the entirety of the early and the middle game. Even, you know, some reses happened to come in between. Just crazy stuff.
To have that game start with PETERBOT getting knocked by G Money, and then they're able to get the revive, they somehow convert that into being 1700 damage above Storm. And they just don't slow down. The entire time they were just laying down so much damage. Putting the mythic AR in PETERBOT's hands should be criminal. But Cold, Ritual, and PETERBOT, you know that they want that win. They are elimination heavy. We know that eliminations are worth more in the Major 1 finals. So that's why we see that although they don't even have a top 3 performance, they're still able to be at the top of our leaderboard. But they want the VR.
They do, right, Kelly? And I love you kind of call that out. Maybe you've not been following, but the fact that we've raised those points per elimination by even just that little bit, that tiny little margin, it's enough for PETERBOT to now have found himself in 2nd place, and they still haven't had that game that we're looking for them to have. They still have not had that victory royale, and this is what's going down. Like, unbelievably insane. Now, to turn attention to that 1st place team, though, Agers, Acorn, and Pollo, they are still holding it down, right? They have not given up this 1st place spot in the first 5 games, and now we have 1 left to go. This is crazy.
I mean, Pollo, you know, global champion, absolutely incredible fragger along with Agers here. And Acorn lauded as one of the smartest players in Fortnite, and he's definitely showcasing that today.
And Pollo just looks like a mechanical. He looked like the most mechanical player out there. Some of the eliminations that he was able to find through some of this end game was absolutely insane. They're doing so well, but I gotta tell you, they probably are like, wow, like, we're doing really well, like, all every game's been good. And then they look at the leaderboard and it's just like they like wipe the sweat off the floors. They're how close to us? Like what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, how are they that close to us? I mean, they seriously look like they've been the best trio on the day for sure. But it's got to be super, super worrisome that PETERBOT, Cold, and Ritual are kind of closing that gap.
Dude, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, right? And for, like, obviously, again, because we have 2 spots, if you're Pollo, you're thinking like, it's scary you're catching up, but as long as we keep doing what we're doing, dude, we're gonna lock our spot too, you know? Like, yeah. If that was how we conclude Major 1, to have Pollo and PETERBOT in, like, separately lock spots for globals, that would be insane. But listen, this is it, okay?
Ow.
1 game left to go, and then we close out day 1, then we VOD review, and we come back for day number 2. With that being said, 1 last ride in NA. Monster D Face and the 6-foot phenom, Jacob PR. Over to you. Thank you so much. 6 foot phenom, Jacob PR, didn't break him, and I'm sad about that. And Monster D-Face, you know, after that game, I feel like there's really only one thing that I could say, and that is BUGHA! Does it again, baby! Let's go, BUGHA! We back in here. We never left. Big Cheese of V threats. Y'all got yourselves a victory royale here on game number 6. Now, to do that at the end of the day, obviously, we have to hope they can carry that momentum into day number 2, but they still showed up. That's still a bunch of points, and paired up with the elims, we're in a really good spot.
Yeah, I really feel like Jacob put it best, where they've just been kind of flying under the radar all day. They have been in our top 10 since game 1, if I'm not mistaken, and they've proven time and time again that they are just a consistent trio. They don't necessarily go for those high elimination games unless everything goes well for them, and that is exactly what happened in the final game of today. Controlling that low ground, especially when the zone pulls the way that it does, Vivid, they've definitely earned all the kudos.
I mean, incredible stuff to kind of see them go out with a bang here on day number 1. And yeah, I mean, I kept looking at the leaderboard. I was like, okay, they're kind of close enough, right? That one game could potentially happen. Game number 6 was that game. Big shout out to BUGHA Threats and Aviv right there. Clutched up 14 eliminations as well. Huge numbers.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's take a look at the standings.
I don't
Let's
want
see
to.
how things. I know it's gonna be scary and it's gonna be wild, but just bear with us, okay? Look at this lead, and I just want to say something here, because Agers, Acorn, and Pollo have put on such a showing in day number 1. Look at those placement points. Look at those elims. For all of last year, people looked down on Pollo and would say, oh, Pollo doesn't do much. It's all PETERBOT. It's all PETERBOT. And now it's Pollo who is looking down on the rest of this leaderboard saying, hey, what's up?
You know, it's really interesting that you say that, because I remember during the Global Championships last year that dialogue kind of got squashed, and I think it was actually something that PETERBOT said himself, that Pollo is one of the best partners that you can have. The way that he is able to kind of just like follow at someone else's lead, which in this case would be Acorns, and still be able to provide a ton of support and a ton of eliminations is what made him be the best partner for PETERBOT. So I think Pollo has definitely had the praise that he deserves, but this is just showcasing it even more so, because, you know, you had PETERBOT and Cold leave their previous partners of Acorn and Pollo, and to see them now in what they thought would be a better trio being 100 points ahead of second place, which is Ritual, Cold, and PETERBOT, that is storytelling to a T. The script that you have written is doing numbers right now, Zeke. I'm very impressed.
Yeah. I mean, it's gotta hone in on the eliminations though, right? I mean, first and foremost, right? Ritual, Cold, and PETERBOT, and Agers, Acorn, and Pollo, both of them having 50 plus eliminations as a bunch of trios there. And as you can see, they're on the leaderboard, the second most on a team. It's going to be 34 over there. But yeah, I mean, that chase was kind of on for PETERBOT, Ritual, and Cold throughout the day, right? They just, you know, like I mentioned before, 70, 60, and then 40 points. And now it's 90 points. So definitely faltered there in game number 6. I don't know what it was about this trio today, guys. I mean, they stayed in the conversation, right? They stayed towards the top of the leaderboard, but none of those games from them kind of felt like that's where they should have been on the leaderboard. You know, it was kind of like, you know, that was like an alright game for them. Maybe we have such high standards for this trio that since they're not like winning every game, it's like, oh man, that was a bad game for them. But I mean, second place going into day number 2, still pretty good.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like, you know, in a horror movie where the killer is slowly stalking the player or the individuals, but they're not running, they're not chasing, it's just a slow stalk until eventually they reach their victims. I feel like that could still be the case for PETERBOT, Cold, and Ritual. They're just slowly climbing up the leaderboard, slowly making their way. But if there were to be a survivor, it would be Agers, Acorn, and Pollo.
Yeah, I again, you know, if with 2 spots, if they were the ones to walk away with those first 2 spots, that would just be unbelievable, right? And that's what we hope for. We hope for as we turn attention back to the standings. CLIX, dude, that last game, what you did in that last game staying alive with that medallion, like in so many different situations. It's like with every step CLIX took, he should have been eliminated. He should have not been there. And yet he played spoiler to that last game. And to make it all the way into a 3rd place is crazy. Like, I love this coin and what it allows players to do. The skill expression ceiling is so high. And to see him put that together in those moments, you know he feels so amazing.
Yeah.
And it's also a great comparison to how other players have used that coin in a solo situation. But him with 4 HP, it wasn't necessarily, especially with it going over water, that he could jump into other people's boxes, stay in the back of zone. No, instead he just ran circles. He just ran around over and over and over again so that that invisibility did not let up. And that honestly is what allowed him to stay alive. He even did get a knock, but wasn't able to get the full elimination. But that is the best performance that we have seen from this trio today. And I really, really hope that we get to see more of that going into day 2.
Yeah, for CLIX, BUGHA, and Yamato, I feel like every single game where we kind of tune in. I mean, there were some games where like tuning in the mid game, it's like, oh wow, this looks like the best team in the playing field right now. Like they look like they're in a great spot. Then like a little bit later on in the game, it was like, oh wow, they're shambles. And I feel like they were always kind of fighting from the back, but whenever we were actually transitioning into the end game right there. So I think it'd probably be pretty easy for them to kind of pinpoint some of those moments throughout the game, get those VOD reviews in and kind of clean it up. But again, I feel like they were always fighting on the back foot, having to clutch up as a trio. So picking up 6th place without really having a solid game, in my opinion, I think it's still pretty good. And I think it gives them hope for tomorrow to climb the leaderboard even further.
The race is close. And as we look at these standings, one thing that kind of stands out to me, and it's kind of just like something small, it's kind of random, but the fact that all of the victory royales that we've had on the day are within that top 7. Like when I think back to earlier in EU, it was like 4 were in the top 10, right? And it's like that victory royale didn't always have enough. Like, you know, you could get a victory royale, but it wasn't enough to carry you and keep you in that top 10. And just look how close this is, right? Like, yeah, Agers, Acorn, Boyo are so far ahead, but look at 7th, right? All the way up to 3rd. That could still shift with a single game. So a single trio makes one mistake. And this top 7 looks different tomorrow.
Oh yeah, and we saw how many points BUGHA of Even Threats were able to get into that final game. Almost what, 90 or more than that even. So a lot of these things can shift. I do think, especially in NA Central, that it's a very top-heavy competition. That a lot of our top trios have been consistently in the top 10 since the start of the season, and I think that kind of gives us this really close match. It's not just the top 3 that could really be within contention. There is so many trios that come and show up and prove to everyone that they deserve to be here.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the day, right, a bunch of leaderboard changes in terms of how big that gap was towards the top, but at the end of it, Zeke, Poyo, Acorn, Agers, they did not give up. They were relentless. Now almost 100 points ahead of the rest of the competition after 6 games. I think the question is going to be, though, are they going to be able to hold on to that lead, kind of repeat that performance tomorrow?
Viv, that's a scary part, right? We've talked about a lot in the past. Some trios, they are day 1 teams. They start really strong on day 1, but they can't keep that momentum going into day number 2. Some trios are the opposite, right? Day 2, they come alive. It doesn't matter what day 1 was. Day 2, they just come back stronger than ever. Kelly, what do you think? I mean, with all of these crazy trios, again, being within, you know, points of each other, could Acorn, Agers, and Poyo be that team? Could they be the team that comes in tomorrow and holds that line? Could we see someone else just say, day 2 is our time, here we go?
Excluding their 13th place game, Agers, Acorn, and Poyo have placed top 4 in all the other games. Wow. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 2nd, and 1st. I think that they are currently on a run right now. I think that the momentum that they have from day 1 is definitely going to translate into day 2. I did say it earlier that PETERBOT and Poyo are notoriously a day 2 team. Obviously, half of that is in the Acorn, Agers, and Poyo, so it'll be interesting to see if PETERBOT is also able to carry that.
Yeah, I think tomorrow what I want to see out of the PETERBOT trio there, we only really saw a hype presence for them in game number 1. And that was when they were a duo, PETERBOT and Cold, right? They went for it then, and it was like after that, they weren't really ever up there. And I feel like they get so much respect on the higher gun when they are up there, right? Even that game number 1, they had presence up there. People could feel that they were in the lobby, and they held on to it for quite some time. But after that, even when they were making it into the end game, you know, granted, none of the games were kind of going smoothly. They were getting knocked off spawn. Sometimes there were reboots happening. Never really went for it again. And I'm not really sure why. Like maybe they just didn't like the way that it was looking. But I would like to see them kind of go up and challenge some of those high grounds.
Well, let's hope, because for now we say goodbye. But what this means for these players to have a night to bot review, to come together as a trio and say what worked, what didn't work. Tomorrow, 2 spots going to the global championships later on are on the line. That's a big deal. There's also life-changing amounts of money on the line, which is also a big deal. So what will they bring to the table tomorrow? That's for us to find out tomorrow. With that being said, don't forget, before us is EU. They've got their own set of crazy games coming up. So if you like what you're seeing, go check them out. And of course, come back to us, the best region we know. Fortnite fam, thank you so much for hanging out with us and watching these unbelievable set of 6 games. Tomorrow, we're turning it up to 11, but at least we hope. Until tomorrow, as always, we love you. Keep yourself safe. We'll see you on that battle bus.
Peace.